Hello everyone, it's M4J here and welcome back to another OpenTTD tutorial. Last time out I showed you all about how to plan train routes, including waypoints versus stations, little tricks to do with how to do loading, unloading, non-stop, go via, refitting, all that good stuff. Today, oh, that's cool. Go to nearest depot. That's new. That wasn't there before. There you go. There's a go to nearest depot order there. Today, I'm going to show you about timetabling. So actually having that window open there is useful. This is the timetable window. It works quite simply. I'm going to show you the quick way to fill it out based on how I do it on the M4J network. But you can, again, take your time, go through it, look for all that kind of good stuff. First thing I'm going to do, turn off auto separation. We don't need that. If you're running like 3 trains on the line and you want them to run at a fixed rate apart and you can't be bothered to work it out yourself like me, you can just hit auto separation and it will automatically make sure that your trains are dispatched at equal intervals. That's a useful way of doing it, but there's better ways of doing it, which is to do it manually, which sucks to an extent, but it's also fun. Let's start here then. We're going to click Cadtown Train Depot. Now this is our datum. This is order number 1. This is where everything comes from, basically. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the times here. Now there's 2 things you can do here. You can clear time, you can change time. If you right click and hold on this, you can see that it says change the amount of time that the highlighted order should take. Control click sets the time for all orders. That's important. So I'm going to hold control. I'm going to click on this. For the sake of argument, I'm just going to put a 1 in the box. The next thing I'm going to do, this little padlock over here, I'm going to hold control and I'm going to click that as well. And you can see a padlock has now appeared next to all of these. If I right click on this, lock or unlock the amount of time for the highlighted order. Control click sets lock state for all orders. When locked, the time will not be changed by timetable autofill or automate. That is also very important. Basically, what it makes sure of is when you set autofill, which is something we are going to be doing later, slight spoiler alert, it won't change the wait times here. They will all be fixed. Next, we're going to hit change time again, but we're not going to hold control this time. And we're going to set the depot to 60. Very, very rarely will a train actually be sat in the depot for an hour. Sometimes it will be less than an hour, which is preferable. Sometimes it will be more than an hour, which is unpreferable, but fairly realistic. If you're like me and you like following your trains around the network, you don't really want to be sat an hour waiting for the next train to leave, but it's one of those things. Next, we're going to go to the depot here and we're going to change this to 15 minutes. Now, the way I'm doing it here is actually going to change on the M4J network in the future. I'm actually going to use the tractive maintenance depots or sidings or carriage sheds, whatever it might be. I'm going to use that as the first order for some of these moving forward. I might even use conditional orders to make that happen. I'm not going to go into conditional orders today. I have used them before. I don't feel they're particularly relevant to this series. If you want me to do conditional orders as a tutorial in the future, let me know in the comments down below. But right now, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Next up, we're going to head over here to Rentwood. Now, this is the first proper stop on the order list here. This is the first time that passengers are actually going to be boarding the train. Now, this is technically a suburban type train. It's like a commuter kind of thing. So it's not going to be sat at the station for a particularly long time. It does change a fair amount. The person who's helping me with sectional running times and things like that, they're far more knowledgeable on train operations than I am. They recommend somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. And normally it's the time it takes for the driver to turn off the cab at one end of the train, walk down to the other end of the train and start the cab up at that second end of the train. That's how long normally the dwell time might be. Me personally, for a suburban train, I like to do 10 minutes. Now again, I'm not holding control on any of these. You can see these ones here remain as 1 minute. We're then going to skip Sledwood and Cadtown and we're going to head to Garston. And again, we're going to do 10 minutes. Nice and easy. We're going to skip Cadtown and Sledwood again. Head back to Rentwood. This time, we're only going to do 5 minutes. Because at this point, everyone's getting off the train. So it's not like we have to wait for the train to load or anything like that. It's all off and away you go. Now, Crossrail, there's a train every 5 minutes, or at least there was when the service first started. It's now changed. But when the train got to Paddington originally, everyone had to get off, and they had to do all of that and get the train out within 5 minutes. So it's a fairly realistic time. You think this is a 2-car DMU. This isn't a 9-car super metro type train. So I think this is a fairly realistic time. Cadtown TMD again. We're just going to do 15 minutes again. It's going to bookmark it all nicely for us. So that's the wait times fixed. Now we need to do the travel times. Now you can set travel times here, and it will work exactly the same as the stop times, except here it expects to take 6 minutes to go from Cadtown train depot to Cadtown TMD. Obviously it isn't 6 minutes, or at least it shouldn't be. So you might end up with a situation where you will always get to a destination early and the train will have dwell time. Again, it's not preferable. You can factor that into your timetables if you so wish, and trains will sit at the station until it returns to its normal time. I like to let the autofill sort this out for me, but one thing I do want to do is change the speed limit. Now, we don't want trains running any faster than 75 miles per hour along this line, but we have signals that can control that for us. So I tend to set the maximum speed here to be the speed of the train. So in this case, this train can travel at 100 miles per hour. So I set it to 100 miles per hour just to keep things nice and simple. Excuse me 1 second. I'm just going to take a drink so I don't cough into the microphone again like I did a few episodes ago. There we go. So I always set it to the max speed of the train. Just makes things easier. The other thing I change though is the top and bottom order. I always set them to 10 miles per hour. Now we actually have signals again that can control this. But the first time the train leaves the depot here, it's not restricted. There's no signal restricting it. It's only when it reaches its first signal, which happens to be this one here, that it kicks in. So I like to make sure that my trains travel at a fairly realistic speed the first time they venture out of the depot. And as it happens, the train is actually restricted to 15 miles an hour through here, but it will be lowered to 10 miles an hour because that's what the timetable is saying, which personally I think is better. Close that extra window. So now we're ready to set this up and actually start autofilling this particular timetable. Now you might think this is a really hard thing to do. It's not. Hold control, hit autofill. This will then run the entire journey once. Once it gets back to the depot, all of the wait times will have appeared. Right now it says the timetable will take at least 119 minutes to complete, bearing in mind that's just the wait times. So we've got 15 minutes there, 15 minutes down here, that's 30, plus another 5 there, 35, 10 here, that's 45, another 10 here, that's 55, plus the 1 minutes, which there are 4 of, which was where the 9 comes in. And then there's an extra 60. So it's 59 plus 60, which is obviously 119. You don't need to test my maths on that one. Autofill then. So there's other options here. So automate automatically manages the timetable for you. Every time the train runs a journey, it will automatically change the travel times. So if the train gets stuck in traffic, say if it's a bus, or if it gets stuck at a signal, if it's a train, every time it runs that cycle, it will automatically update the timetable. That used to be how I did things. That very quickly became not the way I did things anymore. And it actually took someone pointing it out in the comments to me, believe it or not, before I realised. Automate doesn't work very well for trains. It might work for something like an aircraft where, airports may move from one location to another, or, if the plane flies into one runway, it might be quicker than if it ran into a different runway. Lots of different things like that might change journey times. In which case, automation there is best. Autofill does it once and then once only. So you want a nice clear track, which we are going to have for this, and that will make sure that you get an accurate reading for how long each one takes. Eventually, you won't even have to worry about that, but we'll come to that in a second. Let's do the HST now. So you can see kind of auto separate timetable, wait or travel times missing. So auto separation, you also need an auto filled schedule before it will start working that. Automate is basically auto separation, but it fills the times for you as it's running as well. We're not going to worry about any of that. And to be honest, we could delete all the orders here, recopy it from the DMU, because one thing I didn't mention last time, actually I might have mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. If you copy orders from an existing train, you will also copy its timetable settings. If you change any of the orders for whatever reason, if you add a new order, you will have to then add the wait time yourself. If you remove an order, it will automatically remove the wait time for that order, so you don't have to worry too much about that. We're going to do it manually here again, because why not? 60 for the depot. Would help if I did the control click thing there first, and then we're also going to lock them. So you can see you can manually adjust it with the padlock on, but you can't accidentally set autofill and it will automatically change them. The reason you control click autofill is it will keep the wait times. There have been times in the past where I've accidentally just single clicked autofill without holding control, and it removes all of the wait times and then autofills them even with the padlock, and it becomes very annoying. So it's best to not worry about that. Now the wait time for the stopping train is 10 minutes. I'm just going to bump this to 20. I do have a process that I like to follow when I'm doing these, but I try not to stick to it too much because there are times where it might change for whatever reason. It used to be somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes for suburban trains, anything up to an hour for express trains, and also anything between an hour and 3 hours for freight trains. That's something I may continue to use on the M4J network, but again, I'm going to speak to people who actually work in the industry and find out how long these wait times are, just to keep it as realistic as possible. Because obviously you don't want a suburban train to be sat there for 2 hours waiting for passengers when that's just not what it would do in real life. Now, another rule of thumb I tend to have, and you might have noticed it now, is the last stop tends to be half the value of the original stop. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 15, whatever it might be. Realistically, again, that's not really how it would work, but I'm just going to do it like that for now because it's easier. Speed limit, I'm going to set to 125 because that's the top speed of an HST, except again, first order and last order, I'm going to set to 10. Now these are ready to go. So this one here is already set to autofill. This one is now set to autofill. Were I now to unpause the game and set these trains off, if I select the DMU, because that's the one I'm going to send first, unpause the game, set the train, you will see, it's waiting due to timetable right now, which is actually kind of annoying. If I set that to, there you go. So now I'm hoping it'll leave. Let's get this show on the road if I can. Nope, it's not going to do it. All right, in that case, we're going to force it. So we're going to hit skip. I'm going to set this, I'm just going to leave it as what it's on actually. So the train's now running. I'm going to hold tab here to speed things up. You'll see that it's now running. We get the news there that it's arrived. Something else, by the way, that I do like to do is at the depots especially. If it's an end depot, in and out, far end is fine. But these ones I do prefer to have middle. Just you park the train in the middle of the depot basically. And my intermediate stations, I like to have the train stop in the middle too. But terminus, it's fine to have them stop at the end. And here, let's go do it again. To get this, by the way, you just click on the order as many times as you need until it says the one that you want it to say. Can't really say it fairer than that, to be honest. Now, this one here is just going to be waiting for the timetable. I would actually quite like to know what time... Ah, there you go. 21:05. This one claims it's going to depart. Except 21:05 has come and gone, so I have a feeling it's going to be 21:05 the next day, which is kind of annoying. This isn't going to do what I wanted it to do, which is very annoying. So you can see already here as well, that travel time hasn't counted. This is something you do have to bear in mind with OpenTTD, is it's not always the most obvious thing. This is definitely not the most obvious thing. And again, I don't know why I'm holding that, sorry. There might be people looking at it screaming at their screens right now that I've done something wrong. If that's the case, please do let me know in the comments. But I do have this problem a lot myself. I tend to fix it with scheduled dispatch, but that's something we're going to cover next time. So I'm not going to go too much into it today. So control clicking here distributes all vehicles sharing this order evenly from the given date based on their relative order if the order is completely timetabled. So this is something, again, that I used to do before I discovered scheduled dispatch. Is I used to do the shared orders here and control click. I'm really glad I don't actually have to do that anymore, because that used to be a massive pain. That pretty much does it for timetables here, though. There are other things that you can change. Reset late counter. So if your train's running ahead of schedule or behind schedule, you can click reset late counter and it will set it back to time. Tends to not be that useful in cases like this. You can also, you see here, there's options. Leave as timetabled, leave early. Now, every time I take the Javelins out of St. Pancras, the driver seems to be operating on leave early, because I don't think I've ever left on time. It's always been early, which I didn't think was allowed, but what can you do? Otherwise, though, yeah, that's basically it. You can also change this. Just it changes how it's displayed up here. It doesn't matter too much. I'm going to leave this one here, though. Next time out, we're going to look at scheduled dispatch. Between now and then, though, I'm going to let these trains run so that you can see the complete schedule, because you need a complete schedule for scheduled dispatch. And we'll come back next time and we will learn all about the complicated scheduled dispatch, which it sounds scary, but I promise you it's not as scary as it sounds. For now, though, thank you for watching. If you found this tutorial useful, be sure to hit the like button. It really helps me out. If I've forgotten anything, or if there's any other tutorials you'd like to see, be sure to comment down below or head to my Discord. Link is in the description, and you can leave the suggestions there. Speaking of the description, the full tutorial playlist is also there, linked below, so feel free to go through that. If there's any other little tips and tricks that I've taught you, why not let me know in the comments there as well. Next time out, like I said, is scheduled dispatch, so if you want to make sure you don't miss that video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so that you don't miss when that video goes live. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much once again for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.